What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Mafia Podcast, NBA edition. My name is Jordan Jaika, aka Dr. Fantasy, and I am here with my co-host of the Fantasy Caveman. And today we are in the middle of our NBA mini-series where we are giving a 2019-2020 recap for each team, and then we are previewing their off-season. So today we are discussing the Detroit Pistons, a very exciting topic of conversation. So to kick it off with a 2019-2020 season recap, they were 20-46 last season. Really struggled last year. Dwayne Casey is currently their head coach. He's had a stop in Toronto and a few other places. In terms of their team leaders, Derrick Rose, yes, that Derrick Rose, led the team points with 18.1 points. Andre Drummond, who they shipped off to the Cleveland Cavaliers, was in second. He still played over 45 games for them, averaged 17.8 points. Luke Kennard had 15.8 points, kind of under the radar. Blake Griffin, who didn't play the whole season, 15.5 points. Christian Wood, who's actually a young big man that I was really impressed with last season, averaged 13.1 points. They had a few other lower guys, but I won't even mention them. In terms of rebounds, Andre Drummond led the team with 15.8. Christian Wood, who didn't really end up starting until Andre Drummond was traded, averaged 6.3. And then Blake Griffin, in the limited number of games he played, only averaged 4.7 rebounds. So we definitely saw
12 games, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't very many, but we definitely saw a declining Blake Griffin, and he's got a huge contract for him that's just gonna.
I think I saw the number. It was like he's owed like $75 million over the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's let me see here. I have their contracts in front of me. I'll bring it up when we talk about the contracts, but the I was on rebounds, assists. Yep, Derrick Rose also led the team in assists. He had 5.6 assists. Reggie Jackson had 5.1 assists. Brandon Knight with 4.2. Steals, Andre Drummond led the team with 2. Bruce Brown was in second with 1.1. And then blocks, once again, Andre Drummond, 1.7 blocks a game. No one else averaged even a block for him, so it was really just Andre Drummond. So what stuck out to you, and any players that you were impressed with this season?
Oh yeah, very quick about the blocks. I don't know what you have, but I have Henson averaging 1.1.
Oh, 1.1. Sorry.
So you gotta give respect where respect is due.
I am disrespecting John Henson.
John Henson. He's
really
very hard. He plays very hard, as I know from his time in Milwaukee.
He does, yeah. I'll give him that.
His ugly face. So. But anyways, I don't know. I'll let you. You said you were impressed by Christian Wood, which is something who I was gonna bring up. But I'll allow you to talk about him for a minute if you want after this. But obviously you mentioned Derrick Rose. I mean, you can't. If you're talking about the 2019 season for the Detroit Pistons, Derrick Rose was one of the lone bright spots for him. I mean, it's kind of good that he was kind of one of the best stories overall if you think about it. A lot of people just wrote him off as his career being over, like the knee injuries. It was looking like another Brandon Roy situation. If you remember that, Brandon Roy had the potential of being one of the best players in the NBA. Just the knee injuries, the knee just didn't allow him to live up to that. With Derrick Rose, I mean, obviously not quite MVP numbers. I mean, if you would have projected it out, I don't have the exact numbers, but if you would have projected it out, I mean, the per 36 minutes was almost on par with his MVP season back in 2011. But he averaged, like you said, 18 points and 6 assists. So for a guy that you weren't really expecting to bunch out of, and we're gonna talk about this when we get to our offseason needs, but he's really the only point guard that had any relevance for Detroit last season.
Yeah, and a guy I mentioned him already I was impressed with was Christian Wood, who's going to be their starting center for this upcoming season, unless something crazy happens. But
they trade him.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it. I mean, he's really one of their only young pieces. That's
I mean, they're gonna resign, but he is technically a free agent. So
I mean, that would be not good for them if they lost him. I mean, they don't have very many young pieces that are exciting. But diving into his stats a little unexciting when you look at his averages: 13.1 points, 6.3 rebounds. I mean, solid. But I mean, you really have to look at what he did when Andre Drummond left. So his player efficiency rating was 13th in the entire NBA after Andre Drummond left. I mean, that's impressive. I mean, that's an all-star caliber player. His point totals in February, he averaged 19.3 points, 9 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. A kind of impressive part of his game for a big guy, too, is he shot about 5.5 free throws a game, shot 80%. He also shot about 4 threes a game and was shooting at a 42% clip. So once again, very impressive. His field goal percentage overall was 55%, while once Andre Drummond left. So really impressive numbers. And then when you go into March, only played 5 games in March, but once again, he got very hot, 26.6 points per game in March, averaged 9.4 rebounds. Once again, struggled a little more at the free throw line, but still 65% instead of 80. So a big fluctuation there, but he didn't take as many shots, so it's a little misleading. 62% field goal percentage in March and 43% from 3. So he's only 24 years old right now. This is really the first opportunity he's gotten to play consistent minutes. And I was really impressed with him. I mean, I think he's the kind of guy, and we'll talk more about fantasy basketball way down the line. I mean, this is a guy I think is going to go pretty late in fantasy basketball drafts, and he's a guy that I'm definitely going to be targeting, and I like what he showed, and I think he has a lot of potential this season.
Yeah, like you said, another guy who kind of under the radar, and won't mention too much about him, but didn't even want to bring this up because I can't even pronounce his name, and you know exactly who I'm talking about.
There's 2 guys they have. I don't want to even try to pronounce their names.
Okay, but the big man, that his name starts with an S. That's C. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it.
Dikoku Duomba.
Yeah, that's better than what I would think. But I think he was kind of up and down, but he's another guy. If I'm forced to pick a third guy that I was impressed with besides Wood and Rose, he would probably be third on my list.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go into their current depth chart then. Point guard, they have Derrick Rose. Behind him, they have Brandon Knight, Bruce Brown, and Jordan McRae. Brandon Knight's been a solid bench guard throughout the course of his career. He used to start for the Pistons, but he's more of a solid bench guard now. At shooting guard, they have the guy whose name I really didn't want to try to say out loud. And I remember when we were doing our daily fantasy picks. Yep. I remember picking him quite a few times. SVI. My colic. I'm
probably wrong, but not terrible.
It's close enough. My Kaliuk, something like that. I can't say that I've ever tried to pronounce his name out loud. Read plenty of things about him. Like I said, I remember him. He's a pretty good 3-point shooter. I remember streaming him in daily a few times as a really cheap option as one of our value plays. But behind him, they have Langston Galloway. Once again, more of a bench guard throughout the course of his career. Shooting forward, they have Luke Kennard, Tony Snell, who's always been more of a hard-nosed defensive player off the bench. Bruce Brown, same thing. Bruce Brown plays multiple positions, but he more of a solid defender. At power forward, they have Blake Griffin, Thon Maker, and Sekou Doumbouya. Doumbouya. I don't know. Like I said, I can't say, even I bet you if you watch Pistons games, they just say their first name. There's no way those announcers say their last names. No way.
Probably.
Maybe if they ever become big enough like Ginobili, I'll actually learn how to say it, but I'm not too worried about it right now.
I remember a lot of people had trouble pronouncing Giannis's last name coming out.
I still can't say his name.
Giannis. Everybody just refers to him as Giannis.
It's just Giannis. That's all you need to know. And then at center, I already mentioned him. They have Christian Wood backing him up. They have John Henson, and then they also have Thon Maker, who backs up center as well.
Yeah. Nothing really too exciting. I mean, obviously we're gonna get into free agency in a second, but there's really, this kind of is what it is.
Yeah, so diving into that, their salary cap situation, they do have some space. Really, the only guy that's getting paid big dollars that's going to be on the payroll next season is Blake Griffin. They have 2 more years of him. He's owed almost 36 and a half in 2020, 2021. And then there's an option in 2021, 22 for almost $39 million. So that's pretty significant there. That's taking up a big chunk of their payroll right now. Brandon Knight is coming off the payroll if they do not re-sign him. He was making $15 million. He's actually their second highest paid player. If they don't end up signing him to a deal, Tony Snell would actually be their second highest paid player at $12 million next year. So they also have Langston Galloway as a free agent, Thon Maker, Christian Wood, who you mentioned, and Jordan McRae, and some smaller bench pieces, guys they just signed to tryout deals. But any thoughts or any notes on any of those guys?
Like you said, Tony Snell, technically he has a player option, which we fully expect him to pick up. Thon Maker is restricted. Don't expect them to bring him back. The Spy Guy. There you go.
Spy. Yeah, that's a nice nickname.
Spy Guy. His is a club option at like 1.4. Obviously, that's a no-brainer pickup for him. The Jordan fella, restricted. And then you see when we talk about these free